Your page 5 of your presentation, are these the numbers that you anticipate should this budget pass?
Got it. Yes.
Just like doing the quick math, first it doesn't even add up to an additional 150 police officers.
Does it?
No. Actually, this morning, police officers, it only adds up to 61.
Really?
And the majority of it is CSEA employees, which is 73. So I really can't see, I understand the need right now.
Can I just comment on that first before you go
No, wait till
further?
I'm finished.
Okay.
It's going to be a half hour and I'll forget my question. No, I can't quite understand how, if we want to address the Homeland Security and all these other issues, how increasing civil service positions, which of course are important to get, to increase them by 73, which is more than half of what this 60 million increase is going to pay for, how that really kind of follows in your thought. Okay, I'm ready.
So first off, you're looking at, there's 3 columns there, and 2016's budget is 2350. That's the first column. The current on board is 2439. 150 of those people are in the academy, they're not on the street. So we're over budget right now. We're currently over budget. So the budgeted headcount increase is what we're talking about. And again, this is us being 100% transparent, is we have 2439 on board, but we actually are budgeted at 2350, so we're over budget there. And the proposed headcount is 2,500 for a budgeted increase of 150. Obviously, if this legislative body comes back and they don't approve that budget at 2,500, or don't approve the funding for that, we'll have to make adjustments, and we'll do that through attrition, because we're expecting to lose a lot of people in the first 2 months of the year. Additionally, the CSEA employees are not your, CSEA employees that are, working, let's say, other departments. These are critical employees. So the increase of CSEA employees that we've seen in the budget and headcount is specifically related to those critical employees within the department. Just as important in a lot of ways as police officers are. To give you some examples, AMTs, PSAs, and CV operators.
No, I do understand that.
So those are all things that improve and increase the security. But the 150 heads are in the budget, and it is 2350 to 2500. And if you want to look at the ordinance employee down there, that's also going to be a sworn person, so it's actually 151.
But again, we already hired these people, so we're going to get them one way or another. So,
no.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because we just won't hire again.
They've already been hired, and most of them are supposedly replacing retirees. But the real increase we're talking about, I have a total of 73, because I already have people that are already getting paychecks. I already have counted as police officers. So really, just from going from what we have today, by doing this $60 million increase through fees, we're really only going to be getting an additional 61 sworn in and 73 CSEA. So that's just numbers. It's not, I can understand you can say go back. We don't have the money to pay for this, we money to pay for that. We don't have the money to pay for the overtime either, but we're going to pay it. So it's from going from today forward, we're looking at an additional 73.
And again, depending on the budget, if you don't increase the $60 million, depending on how much you cut, you'd be looking at significant reductions from the current on board.
Well, you know what? Yes and no, because
yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay. How am I going to pay paychecks in November if you cut 60 million in November? October.
We do 84% of our tax revenue goes to pay for the police. And believe me, I'm a big supporter. Yet, if this 60 million, not all of it is going to the police. It's not.
All of it is going to the police.
No, it's not. It's going to be revenue that the county's going to use for other, it's going to basically bring in 60 million worth of revenue. Now, to increase it from last year to this year, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be cut from the police if this doesn't go through this way. I mean, they might try to make it sound that way, but it's not. So let's just agree.
And again, I'm only here to discuss the police department budget. I'm telling you, if you cut $50 million from my budget, there's gonna be real
But
consequences.
all of the money coming in from this fee, which I think honestly is exorbitant, is not dedicated to the police, okay? It's not.
Well, it is dedicated, because it's
No,
going
it's not.
directly to the headquarters fund.
It's not all 60 million. The bottom
Every
line
dollar.
is, right now, the way we have it set up, you're not gonna lose that much money if we find an alternative way. So it's
No.
sort of directed.
And again, what I'm
that
saying
way.
is, the budget I laid out for you today, that it accounts for a $50 million increase in my budget over last year. And if you cut any money from that, there's gonna have to be real cuts in the budget. You know.
Look, you're assuming that if we don't pass these fees, that it's all gonna only be the police. And that is a good sell, I understand it. But it's not justified. It goes, we have a $3 billion budget. Again,
Mhm.
most of your budget comes from our tax revenue. So,
Right.
so anyway, let's.
And I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is, if you, whatever, for every dollar that you cut out of the police department budget, if you don't cut anything, then the budget before you, it allows us to provide the services I outlined here today.
Right.
Every dollar you cut from that budget, there has to be a corresponding real cut in order for us to live within the budget.
But what you're not taking into effect is that we don't only depend on these fees, which to have your budget. So let's talk about something else. As far as overtime goes, and I know Legislator Kevan was just asking, how come the newer officers don't help with the overtime with their rate? Once they're on probation, how is overtime given out?
So all the overtime is given out by very strict rules.
Right, and
More contracts.
they based on seniority?
So, no, it's not based on seniority. So the way overtime works is, in any command, there's an overtime book. And everybody puts their little name in their overtime book. And then based on the total number of hours that you have overtime, so the people with the least amount of hours get the first opportunity, the people with the most get the last opportunity. The only time that seniority plays into it is if two people are tied, it goes to the person who's senior. But it all evens out at the end because, there's 457,000 hours last year of local overtime.
So, okay, so seniority does not come into play with who gets the phone call for overtime? No. Okay, that's good to know.
And that's all dictated by contract. Because, right, the perfect world is if I was management, I would assign it to the people that made the least amount of money.
Can I just
But I can't do that.
one quick question while she's...
Where? Oh,
You're
sorry.
not obligated to sign into the book though, right? It's
No,
by election?
we can't, it's purely, yes, you're not obligated to sign the book, it's purely voluntarily, and we can't compel you. The only time there's protocols, if I have to fill a car seat and nobody signs, I then have to order people following certain protocols.
I just have, go ahead, one more question. All right, I think what Legislator Birnbaum and other legislators here, we've been a little frustrated on our end because we were basically told if we consolidate the police precincts, which we didn't vote for either, we would save money. If we bond for termination fees, we'll save money. If we, and we haven't seen that. And I do understand, I've spoken with you a number of times about the sixth precinct, and I understand that you feel that the service we're getting from the third, and no offense to the third, I think it's been really good service, but I do think that there is a community-based familiarity with different areas, different neighborhoods, different families that police officers really get by working that area and having that precinct.
And I think this is a misunderstanding, Legislator. We've had a lot of discussions, we haven't talked about this particular item, but I think it's important to realize is that the cops that work in the 3rd Precinct North don't work in the 3rd Precinct South, and vice versa. So they are the same, it's, from an operational standpoint, there is nothing that would change.
Except, when you have your start of your shift, you usually have a meeting, right, where people just come
No.
and talk?
No?
You don't do any kind of
No.
feelings. Now, that's different from the private, like co-pass.
Yes, we're not the Glencoe Police Department.
No, but we do go over like what,
No.
So you don't have any briefing?
Nope, they go to their relief points in their precinct, on their post. We don't even go to we don't go to the policing center. They go to a relief point on their post or the adjoining post, they get in their car and they go on patrol.
Yeah, see, I don't know, maybe I'm just coming from this area, but it's nice when you have a precinct where there are people that are, briefed in the morning, it's just.
But that doesn't happen in Nassau County. When I was in New York City cop, that happened. We had roll call and we had turnouts at the beginning of each tour. And you go in and for a half hour you get briefed. We don't do that in Nassau County. We haven't done it here ever, as far as I know. Dating back 50 years, it has not happened here.
Again, I think that kind of policing gives the residents a form of security. And I'm going on the record one more time saying, I understand that people are very concerned about homeland security and public safety and all that, and I think that that's why you're getting tied into this incredibly huge fee. And I honestly don't even think it's really fair, because I think that money is not going to be going to you, and I think that it's deceptive in the sense that it's something we all care about, and here we are again, voting, asking us to vote for it, which I'm not going to be voting for it, and I can assure you that this money will be found in other places.
I'm going to allow Legislator Salar just to ask one more question.
I appreciate
and then I need to
that.
go to
I appreciate that
the
because
leader.
when I was asking the commissioner questions before, Eric Norton was not there before. But now that Eric Norton is here, he, no, it's just that, the police department here is being expected to produce $64 million of revenue when really this is the obligation of the county executive, and as a result, it's unfair that we're being, depicted to be in a position where we're choosing between public safety and raising revenue. I have huge concerns for this public safety. It's very similar to the speed camera problem that we had before. Our offices have received over 1,000 phone calls or emails on this issue so far. We haven't even voted on it. So my concern is that there's going to be such a large public outcry that we're going to be forced, after we vote for it, to find other ways to raise this revenue, and we don't have a plan for that. The obligation should be not on the police department, but it should be on the county executive's office to produce a plan to gain that revenue.
All right. Thank you. Eric Norton, Deputy County Executive for Finance. Before I answer your question, just need to correct the record. The entire public safety fee is going into the police fund, all $64 million. It's very clearly laid out in the budget. I can show you any page that you like so that I can make it clearer for you. Now to answer your question.
I have to just address that. Can I address that? All right, can you address it?
If you'd like the page number, I can give you the page number.
He is speaking. He asked his question. I gave him the opportunity to ask his question.
Mr. Norton,
And
can you please
also-
answer my question? Thank you.
All right. Yes, so to answer your question, our job as the administration is to look at different ways to fund various services. To us, if people are committing crimes, violating the law, speeding, running red lights, then it seems that a fee attached to that is appropriate to go into the police fund. We're not asking the police officers to write any more tickets than they already have been writing just through a normal course of business. We're not saying that more people are going to run red lights, not make a full stop before turning right at a red light camera. These things happen naturally, unfortunately. We're not doing anything to say, please break the law, but we are saying this to you. We're not raising your taxes, so therefore you don't have to pay a tax increase, but if you do continue to break the law, then you will have to pay more.
Understood, but I think it is reckless for the county executive to put the choice on public safety. Could it be something else, another obligation of the county? Perhaps. But to put that choice and that limitation on public safety is very dangerous, don't you think?
No, I do not think so, obviously.
If we don't
turned over the budget to...
Then you're going to cut specialized units? That's very dangerous.
No, we're not making any cuts. What we're suggesting to you is we made a recommended budget that includes this fee. We submitted this budget September 15th. It is now in the hands of this legislature body. If this legislative body wants to make a policy decision, so be it, and then we'll manage from there.
So are you going to cut it if it doesn't pass?
Okay. Legislator, no, I shouldn't say legislator, minority leader. He's been very patient. Legislator DeRicci, wait and let him speak, please. You had your turn. Go ahead.
How are you, Commissioner?
I'll let you know in a few minutes, Legislator.
I think the sentiment is definitely the same up here. We never planned on having you here for well over 3 hours. But I just wanted to take the opportunity, over 3 hours, that's what I said. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you and the men and women of the Nassau County Police Department. I know obviously you don't always look for thank yous, but we just want to give you that big appreciation.
And the one thing I say, and you've heard me all say it, is, I'm very lucky to work here because at the end of the day, we know that we have the support of this legislative body and you've demonstrated that, so thank you.
You're welcome. So to get into my questions, there's two parts. Just make sure I can clarify for the record as well as for some of the public that's here. To start off with the public safety fee for $105. There's been a lot of, I guess, articles I've seen written in various newspapers that it's the red light camera, it's parking. Can you just clarify for the record what exactly the $105 is? Is it any infraction in Nassau County in regards to whether it's red light camera or officer writes a ticket for a parking ticket or anything along those lines?
So I'm going to make this quick. Yes.
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 So
it's movers, parkers, and red light tickets.
Okay. So basically, if I'm parked in, I'm trying to figure out an unincorporated area, Merrick. Mineola incorporated, but Elmont, East Meadow.
East Meadow.
Merrick. If I'm parked and there's a 2-hour limit on my parking, I'm coming out of wherever, 2 hours, 10 minutes later, and officer writes a ticket, which deservedly so. And top of the fine, the penalty, I'm going to also pay $105.
That's correct.
Okay. So, and right now, each person pays $45 on the administrative.
They're all different fees, the parking tickets and moving tickets.
I'm just curious. I understand the department shortfalls, and I also understand the county shortfalls. How did this idea develop?
It developed in a way to, there's choices, right? So right now, we can make $50 million cuts to the police department.
No, I understand.
Okay.
That's why I brought that up first.
So,
I guess, Commissioner, what I'm asking is where was it your idea to increase the fee by $105, or was it Mr. Norton's idea, the county executive's idea, Mr. Walker's idea? Whose idea was it?
Are you asking me to say, point the finger?
I'm asking.
I will tell you that it was based on discussions within, I'll make it easy.
Let's take a briefer.
Based on discussions.
All I'm asking.
Okay, I'm going to answer.
Okay.
Based on the discussions within the administration, this fee was put forward.
Who?
The administration, the police department administration, including myself, the budget office, and the county executive's office.
So you met with the budget office. Who in the budget office?
I'm not getting into details into the budget
it's
process.
a public, transparent hearing, right?
It is a public transparent. I said we had meetings and we had discussions on increases in revenues, and this was one of the items that was talked about.
Is it safe to say this is the commissioner of the county's police department's recommendation to increase the fee by $105 for parking infractions?
I strongly support the increase of the fee of $105.
That's not what I asked you, Commissioner. I asked you, was this your recommendation? You said you strongly support.
I strongly support it.
Is this your recommendation?
This was discussion.
I think you gave prepared.
This is the discussion between the administration, and this is what we put forward. I'm not going to get into the process.
There's a fee that's before us.
Yes.
We're trying to figure out where did the fee come from. As you well know, maybe you didn't see it, there was a story in Newsday that talked about the increase in bus fares. That Nice Bus adamantly indicated that they did not request from the county to increase the bus fare.
I can't speak to that.
If I may finish. Mr. Nevin, who works for the county executive, said, well, there must be some miscommunication because we thought they did. So I'm asking you today again, this is in your budget. I think we all agreed that. I think that's been identified by Legislator Salages as well as Legislator Dirigi Whitman.
This isn't my budget?
No, I said this fee is in your budget.
Yes, okay.
Which that means it's in your departmental requests.
Yes.
So I'm asking you, as the commissioner, you must see and approve everything that is in your departmental budget. If
Yes.
that is the case, do you recommend this fee? Did you recommend this $105 fee?
We put forward a budget that consisted of a budget that is outlined before you, and we collectively came up with the way to fund that budget.
Who's collectively? Who's the we?
So it's the budget office, it's the police department, and it's the county executive.
Who in the budget office? Is this some secret?
It's not a secret, I told you. It's a discussion.
Is it Mr. Norton? Mr. Norton, can you speak to this, please? Maybe you can shed some light on, because I understand, how did this idea develop, Mr. Norton?
It was a collective effort of the police department and the Office of Management and Budget, myself, the Deputy County Executive for Finance. As I've stated previously, we look at the expenses, we decided what level of services are important to our residents. We looked at the property tax level, decided that we needed a new fee, and collectively we decided that this was an appropriate fee.
So,
I'm putting my name on it, Eric Norton.
that's what I'm asking.
I'll be happy to put my name on it also, Tom Krumpter.
Anybody else?
Me too, Roseanne Delavan.
Of course. Okay, so I think now I know where it came from, thank you, and I think that's.
It came from me and Eric and Roseanne.
Okay, that's all I was asking for the last couple minutes.
It's a collective effort, and that's what I said from the beginning, it was a collective effort.
I asked you specifically because, as I said before, I identified, well, I don't want to get into it. Let's move on. The next things I wanted to talk to you, again, associated to the public safety fee, is tied into, obviously, the $105 fee being a deterrence in regards to lessening the amount of infractions over a period of time. People becoming more careful, more mindful. I think it's been well documented by various authorities that, and we saw with the red light camera fee, over a period of time, the actual amount of infractions with the red light cameras went down from its initial year of when it first happened. I have to think $105 where, are we doubling the fee? We're doubling the fee, Ms. Right, correct?
No, it's going to $205.
And from 45,
No,
it's more than that.
yeah, well,
Yes,
it's going,
so I should have said more than doubling, I'm sorry. So we are more than doubling the fee, and somehow we think that that's not going to feed into the mindsets of Nassau County taxpayers, that they're not going to...
quite to the contrary. I mean, the evidence on increased fees and fines that we see here in Nassau County, and what I think you'll find in other places, is when we're from 0 to 45, there was no diminution. If you actually look at some of the activity, it increased. If anybody takes a drive around the roads, you'll see just how many infractions are committed every day. And again, a police officer exercises a significant amount of discretion, and I believe they'll continue to do so. But ultimately, I don't see that this will impact the number of people that are violating the law, and I don't see that this will cause police officers to write more or less tickets.
No, I'm not implying that you would write more or less tickets. What I'm implying...
Well, that was a question earlier.
No, I guess what I'm implying is that if I got, or if my wife got a $105 ticket on top of what she pays already, which is, I guess, the $45 administrative fee or the $50 infraction she would get from going through a red light camera, and then on top of it now, you're talking about $105. It just seems to me that I would say, honey, you gotta not drive through red light cameras anymore. I just think you that's a pretty hefty fine or fee. I don't want to miscategorize it, but to me it just seems like to budget off of people's mistakes, I think should bring a very heightened level of concern from Nassau County taxpayers as well as the legislative body, because people can always correct their mistakes. I'm not saying that the budget shouldn't be balanced off of infractions. I'm saying that this infraction, it just seems to me to take something like parking fees and movement violations, it just seems a bit unfair to use that resource or that revenue to subsidize everything else in the department. I'm not looking for a response from you. I'm just saying, I don't see how we are going to invest $60 million that's generated from movement violations and parking infractions and invest that back into making the public more educated about movement violations and parking infractions. I don't get the sense we're doing that today.
think you've been sitting in that seat, I think, for over 3 hours. And
I'm
nobody.
ready to go.
And nobody.
Any other questions?
Nobody offered you a glass of water. I'm sorry, but they.
No, I'm good, thank you.
No, I'm very sorry, but.
Well, they offered me water. They asked me, can we
You're
get
the one
water?
who did all, you're the one who did all the talking. So, and I see the lieutenant from time to time, and Tatum as well. I know that they certainly have assisted you to make this presentation today and did a good job in assisting you. But I thank you for this more than 3 hours that you have sat there without a glass of water. I answered all of these tough questions, and I can understand the toughest question was the public safety thing. And this is only the beginning of the process, okay? That's why we have public hearings, and we have the department speaking before us to make their case, and then it's up to us to decide how we're going to resolve the case. So I thank you for your presentation and your willingness, and not only your willingness, but your ability to answer most of the questions that were put before you today. So thank you, and let's see where we're going from here. Colleagues on both sides of the aisle, we have time. Okay, now.